In today's courtroom video, we see families that started out as happy dreams but sadly ended up in a murder case destroying their family. Our expert team worked hard to find the wildest court cases, and now we're going to explore them together. Let's begin with the first case, which is about Jared Chance. Jared Chance, who is originally from Holland, is in jail for a crime he committed in 2018 in Grand Rapids. He murdered and dismembered Ashley Young. Recently, he tried to appeal his conviction and the punishment he received, but he was not successful. Back in October 2019, a judge decided to give Jared Chance the harshest punishment possible: 200 years in prison. This decision came after Jared was found guilty. He said that this case was one of the worst murder cases he had ever seen. The judge believed that what Jared did to Ashley, including the murder and cutting her body into pieces, was incredibly horrifying. That's why he decided to go beyond the usual punishment range suggested by the law. In late November 2018, Young was murdered. Her body parts, her torso, arms, and legs, were discovered at Chance's apartment in Grand Rapids. It all started when a neighbor noticed a bad smell and found a bloody tarp in the basement. Chance faced a trial in September that lasted a week, and a jury found him guilty of second-degree murder, mutilating a dead body, hiding a death, and tampering with evidence. The judge, Trusock, expressed deep disgust at Chance's actions. He called them terrible and beyond understanding. The judge pointed out that Chance showed no sorrow or empathy, and the crime was extremely brutal. He also noted that there was no clear reason for the killing, making it senseless. Moreover, Chance repeatedly lied to Young's mother, giving her false hope that her daughter was still alive. These aspects, the judge mentioned, weren't fully considered in the standard sentencing guidelines. "You, sir, are in my mind a very evil individual," the judge said. "You are clearly a monster without any conscience whatsoever, and you are someone who is a danger to society and should never be allowed free." Chance appealed his case because he believed the jury should have been able to think about a lesser crime called involuntary manslaughter. He thought the punishment given to Trusock was too severe. Chance was upset when the judge called him very evil. However, the judges didn't agree with Chance's points. They said no to all of his arguments and decided to keep his guilty verdict and punishment. Chance, who will be 35 soon, is currently in a prison in Saginaw County. Next case is as bad as it can get. A documentary on Netflix even talks about what happened in 2018 when Shanann Watts and her two little girls were killed in Colorado. One day, Christopher Watts spoke on TV from his house in Frederick, Colorado, asking his missing wife and daughters to return home. He had killed his pregnant wife and two daughters earlier. This interview happened while people were searching for his family. It made many people across the country interested in the 2018 case. Now there's a new Netflix documentary about it. The lawyer from the Colorado State Public Defender's Office, who helped Watts when he admitted to the murders in November 2018, didn't want to talk about the documentary. It brought back people's fascination with the horrible killings. In August 2018, Mr. Watts's wife, Shanann Watts, who was 34 years old and 15 weeks pregnant, along with their two young daughters, were said to be missing. 3 days after that, the police said they found Mrs. Watts's body and the bodies of her daughters, Bella, 4, and Celeste, 3, on the land owned by the Anadarko Petroleum Corporation. This company was where Mr. Watts used to work. Mr. Watts got arrested the day before as something terrible got revealed. The police in Frederick, a small town near Denver, had been looking for him for nearly 3 days. The Frederick Police Department, which has 20 people, didn't stop searching, and soon the Colorado Bureau of Investigation and the FBI joined in. The police say Mr. Watts was cheating on his wife with someone from work. On August 13th, very early in the morning, he told his wife he wanted to split up. He told the police that later, he checked the family's baby monitor and saw his wife strangling their younger daughter, Celeste. He said their older daughter, Bella, was lying on her bed looking blue. Then he confessed that he strangled his wife. At first, Mr. Watts denied harming his children, but confessed to putting their bodies in oil tanks and burying his wife nearby. He later admitted to killing all 3 of them. The district attorney, Michael Rourke, stated that Mr. Watts had suffocated his daughters. In November, Mr. Watts pleaded guilty to 9 criminal charges as part of a deal with prosecutors to avoid the death penalty. Mr. Watts got a really big punishment. He has to spend his whole life in prison, not just for 1 life sentence, but for 5 of them. He can never get out. On top of that, he also has to spend 48 years in jail because he did something illegal that ended Ms. Watts's pregnancy, and he has to spend another 36 years in jail because he did something bad with the bodies of the people he harmed. I trusted you to take care of them, not kill them, and they also trusted you, said Ms. Watts's father. You disgust me. What are your thoughts on this court case? Did you see the documentary? Comment it down below. Take a second to subscribe and like the video. In next case, a man from Parma was given a life sentence in prison. He was convicted of killing his 5-year-old son by beating him with a baseball bat. He said he did it during a time when he was experiencing a psychotic episode. The man's name is Matthew Ponomarenko. He admitted to committing aggravated murder, kidnapping, and endangering children. A psychiatrist assigned by the court discovered that Ponomarenko has bipolar disorder. This condition affected his mental abilities greatly when the crime was committed. The lawyers decided not to pursue charges that could have led Ponomarenko to be sentenced to death if found guilty. Judge Timothy McGinty gave Ponomarenko a life sentence, but said he could be considered for parole after spending 45 years in prison. Matthew Ponomarenko brutally beat and killed his own son, prosecutor Michael O'Malley said in a statement. With this sentence, I hope that the family can find peace and solace. May Jax's memory forever live in their hearts. Now we watch a crazy case in which a man from Florida is said to have killed his grandfather. Then, he cut off his grandfather's ears and kept them in his pockets. In Lake County, Florida, Colby Allen Parker found his grandfather dead and covered in blood on their front porch. He suddenly reached into his pockets. He took out 2 human ears, 1 in each hand, and showed them to the officers, according to the Lake County Sheriff's Office. The police quickly said that the ears belonged to a man named Ronald Wells, who was 77 years old and Parker's grandfather. They said Parker hurt Wells by hitting, stabbing, and damaging him after they argued while smoking marijuana. They found something disturbing in Parker's room, too. An apron hung on the wall with the words, "The Family Butcher," written on it. Even more unsettling, 2 fake human ears covered in fake blood were attached to it. According to the police, Parker attempted to take a gun and taser from an officer. He also kicked and headbutted 3 officers while they were trying to control him and arrest him. The police tried to stop him with a taser, but it didn't work, as per the arrest report. After that, Parker was brought to a hospital and later moved to a county jail. Parker will never see life outside of the jail cells. In following court moment, a father from Youngstown was given a sentence for shaking his son, which caused the child to become disabled. A father from Youngstown was given the longest possible punishment for hurting his baby so badly that the child became permanently disabled. Eric Pendland, who is 37 years old, was sentenced to 11 years in jail for 2 different charges related to endangering children. According to prosecutors, the incident happened in March 2017. Pendland shook his 3-month-old son so violently that it caused the baby to lose both his hearing and sight permanently. When the baby was taken to the hospital, doctors found bleeding in his brain, bleeding in his eyes, and he wasn't responding. The prosecutors urged Judge Anthony D'Onofrio to give Pendland the harshest punishment because of how badly the baby was hurt. Baby Eric is the biological son of the defendant. He was in a position to protect him, care for him, nurture him, and instead he abused him and caused great harm to him, said Assistant County Prosecutor McLaughlin. After spending 2.5 months in the hospital and undergoing at least 3 surgeries, he managed to pull through. But things have changed for him. He'll need a feeding tube for the rest of his life and might never walk again. Despite these challenges, his family is hopeful about the future. When you think it can get as bad as in the cases before, watch this case. Carl, a man was given a punishment of 15 years to life in prison for causing the death of his son. He had bought an insurance policy worth $700,000 for his 23-year-old son. Levy died because of this incident. It's important to note that Carl was the only person set to receive money from Levy's insurance policy, which Levy had bought just 17 days before the tragic event. Some family members were worried. At first, was thought to be an accident, but later on, Carlson confessed. He said he jumped into his truck, which made it fall, and his son got stuck underneath and died. Carlson left his son there while he went to an event with his wife. Do you think he should get more years in prison? Young couples often admire elderly couples like their grandparents or other older couples they see walking together in public, but unfortunately, there are also unkind individuals among us. A 73-year-old man from Hartville admitted to committing aggravated murder and other crimes. He also agreed to help investigators by revealing where he disposed his wife's body, who had been reported missing. There was a strange situation involving Philip Snyder. At first, he claimed that his wife, Roberta, who had been married to him for 53 years, died naturally while they were visiting Graceland in Memphis in January. However, Snyder gave different explanations to investigators before they found evidence that didn't match his stories. This raised doubts about whether he was involved in her death. The Stark County Prosecutor's Office says that Snyder kept changing his story several times. Finally, he told an undercover police officer from Hartville that he had an argument with Roberta. As a result, she slept on a seat in their living room. The next morning, the husband woke up and decided to get himself a cup of coffee. When he came back home, he saw that his wife was still asleep. He covered Roberta's head with a cloth and hit her 2 times on the head with a heavy hammer, which led to her death. Snyder explained to the secret investigator that he put a plastic bag over his wife's head and then put her body on a plastic sheet before putting her in his pickup truck. The family was shocked hearing the story and couldn't understand how someone can do this. In following Weird Case, judge let him choose his punishment. Christopher McNabb went to jail in 2019 because he killed his 15-day-old daughter named Kalia. She was hurt very badly and died because of it. McNabb and his partner, Courtney Marie Bell, were using strong drugs like crystal meth when they hurt Kalia. After Kalia died, McNabb and Bell told the police that someone took her while they were sleeping. Later on, they said Kalia's body was in a backpack. They claimed the backpack was stolen too. McNabb and Bell used to live in a trailer park in Covington, Georgia. It's about 40 miles away from Atlanta. McNabb maintained his innocence before the judge, as he said, "I would never do this. I'm innocent." The judge then asked, "You claim you're innocent, so you tell me what sentence the man or woman that you claim did this should receive." McNabb replied, "If you ever find out who did this, they deserve to be under the jail." To which the judge replied, "So they should get the maximum sentence?" When McNabb agreed with that assessment, the judge delivered his verdict. "On the crime of malice murder, I sentence you to life in confinement without parole." Which courtroom case do you think was the most shocking one? If you know court cases that could be featured on the channel, please write it in the comment section. Take a second to write your thoughts down below. Please subscribe to our channel and check out one of these videos. See you next time around. Take care.